No one thought that.
That's not what I want. That's not what I want. All right, so we are live. Sorry about that, guys. My phone, if it rings, I forgot to put it on Do Not Disturb. If it rings, then it will definitely cut the video because I'm using my phone to do this video. So in the previous video, we were talking about the Roland, I'm not the Roland, the Ableton one. So hopefully you guys will pick up on this one. This is just the part 2, we're going to call it, where we talk about the P6, the Creative Sampler. So the one thing I'll say about this is, first of all, the price is extremely nice, and yet it's very limiting on it at the same time. 1 second here. Okay. So yeah, so very limiting on this one. However, the price is only $220, so you can't expect much. Now, what I like about this one is a few things. I'll just talk about it while we're here. The lo-fi button. It's not on the SP404 where you can adjust the sample rate. And so you get that cool lo-fi effect. The microphone. The microphone's not on the SP404. So that makes it unique and really nice to have, that you can actually plug a microphone in. A lot of people don't talk about this. You see this headphone up here with this mic? The fact that you can plug in and have a headphone jack on there too is pretty sweet. And then you'll look over here. The one thing I dislike about it is this little bitty screen that has those red letters on it. I kind of don't like that, but there's a sacrifice. For this price point, you expect it to be this. Now, I did say in the previous version that you can look at the, and for anybody scrolling in, sorry about the previous one. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so unfortunately, if you don't do that, it'll crash your video if you're using the phone for video, and that I am using. So just, have to roll with it like that. It is what it is. So hopefully you're able to continue to join and hit the like. This one won't be as long as the previous version, but we are still talking about gear. And the reason why this is a big topic is because you'll see a lot of videos popping up on the internet, particularly on YouTube, about this gear. So we looked at, in the previous one, we were focused on looking at the Ableton Move, which is a 4-track kind of like music starter thing that you can use, that you can use for sampling, but it wasn't really it's not really built to be a sampler. It just has the sampling capabilities in there, and it also gives you the ability to sequence. Hey, what's up, SimCity? Yeah, I was just saying the previous video crashed because I forgot to put my phone on so Do Not Disturb, so that it wouldn't kill the video. And unfortunately, if you get a call, it'll kill the video. All right, so I was saying the features I like on here. I do like the sequencer down here. I think that's kind of cool that they have it right on the front. A little bit better than the SP where you got to go in and dive a little bit more. So here's that. The lo-fi button, being able to adjust the samples at different sample rates. Huge feature. Sounds really good too. From the things I've heard people do with it, I think it sounds really good. I did not know that they had, the granular is obviously one that people like a lot, because there's not really any sampler that I know of that has the granular on the sampler like that. And then the fact that you got banks. I didn't even realize those were banks at first. The first time I saw it. Now I realize, oh wait, you got 8 banks with 6 pads. That's what, 48 potential samples that could be on there. I'm not going to get into all the details of every little thing, but just talking about some of the things I like, some of the things I don't like about it. Yes, there's a looper to do that. Obviously, with this, you realize you're not going to be looking at the sample itself. However, there is a software. If you look up here, says companion software editor. So just like the SP has an editor, they made an editor for this. So you can go in and look at your samples that you put on there and chop them on that. If you prefer to get a perfect loop and you don't have a perfect loop, you can do that and actually make it a perfect loop up there. Because some people want a perfect loop before they do the little chop on this one. So that is an option. I think the editor is web. It's either web based or it's a plugin that's off of the Roland thing that you can get. So the lo-fi feature is my favorite feature. The mic is really cool for simple sampling in if you want to do that. But I think I'd probably be using the lo-fi feature the most. So this would become more of an effects box that I would use to primarily just for that lo-fi to just take those samples down to a different, and then take those and use Koala with this. This would be great for to use with Koala. Koala doesn't have a lo-fi feature in the sense of it can't change the sample rates of the samples. MPC doesn't even have that, which is crazy. I wish the MPC would do that. Come with software. I'd be chopping like Parappa the Rapper. Yeah. Okay, so the companion software editor, you can definitely do that. But you could also use Koala, chop the sample on Koala, and then and then record it in here. They do have a standby or what we would call a threshold recording. I think they usually call it, where you just set it so it won't miss the initial chop that you start sampling with. But then you can edit just the end point and then make it loop. Of course, if this screen had the ability to just show you the sample, that would be better. So that's the one thing I would say. I would be willing to spend another $100 more on this if you could see the sample. Just that little bit alone would be incredible. I heard Roland got nice sound. Yeah, I mean, well, I love the sound in the SP more than I like what comes from the MPC. To me, the MPC, the best part of it is the workflow. The workflow is much easier in the MPC, it's faster. But you could use this with the MPC. I watched a video the other day where DiBiase did that. He got his samples together, kind of started the track in this Roland P6, and then he sampled his pieces or parts into the SP. I mean, I'm sorry, into the MPC, and then he finished out the arranging in there. So he used the arranger from there to create to actually sequence the track. Now you can do that with Koala on your phone, so you don't even have to pull out the MPC to do that. If you just want to do it on Koala and then use this thing here to create the starting, the start your chops and parts or whatever. If you could see the sample, it would be nice. Yeah, it would be. I think it would be easier. It's easier when you can see the sample. I have to agree. Um, Can you master? I wouldn't try it. You can't save because you only have so much space in here, it's very limited on space. You're not going to be saving whole songs in here. This is kind of just like a starter. Just that's why I'm comparing it to the Move. The Move has a little more space. You can save some stuff in there, but it's just a starter tool. So you probably would use this to get your samples to sound the way you want them. Maybe you do a couple little sequences because I think you have 64, which is what 64 is like two. It's either four. I think it's 4 bars, right? 64 steps is 4 bars, if I'm not mistaken. So you have 4 bars that you can do in here, right? So 4 bars is pretty good. Does it have a limiter? Um, I don't think so. I could be wrong on that. You have delay, pitch, scatter. The MFX is multi effects. So there are more effects than just the delay, pitch, reverb, looper, filter. So it may be a limiter in there. There's a compressor in there for sure. I know that because I've seen people use it or talk about it. Hey, let's take a peek and see what specs they have. Let's do it. Okay, there are 64 steps. We said that already. I'm trying to see where the has a lithium ion battery, which is good. The mic on deck is mono. We already know that. Here we go. Creative sampler, chop functions. I know it has micro step. is it micro timing? It has micro timing, which the SP doesn't have. 6 seconds is the ideal sample rate out of 44, but as you decrease that the sample rate or sample time here, a rate rather, I'm sorry, the timing goes up. So you can get more seconds than 6 seconds. That's just if you do it at a 44.1. Takes waves. Trying to find the effects. So I know it has a compressor. I just don't remember all the other ones. We'll have to look that up and see if we can figure out all the effects. If somebody knows, they could say, which one would you pick, the move or the okay, it depends on what you need. If you need a sequencer only, the move is probably easier to use for sequencing stuff. If you need sounds, let's say you want like the synths that they offer for this the move and all that, then I would say the move might be better. If you need 50 gigs of onboard space for whatever reason you're going to use all that, maybe to store samples, then you probably want to go with the move because this one doesn't have a lot of space on board. I was trying to find something where they tell you the exact space. You're not going to say, oh, you can't build a template in either one of these as far as I know. Here you go, multi-effects, 20 types. So I'd have to get the book. I don't have the manual, but I'd have to find the manual to give you. The battery life, approximate battery charging time is 3 hours. The battery life under continuous use is 3 hours. So you get about 3 hours. Listen, you're not going to use this thing to be doing like mega beats on it. You're going to just be coming up with some ideas on it. And then it's the same principle with the move. The move is designed to come up with an idea, start it, and then take it to another device to do it, to finish it. What's up, Crazy Wabbit? Synano Tempo Pad Z1 looks interesting. I'll have to take a look at that one. I don't know much about that one. I take the 6 over the P6 over. I actually would too. Okay, so I think it was Sim asked me about it. I would take the P6 because I don't have an SP anymore. I used to have an SP, and when I jumped over to the MPC, I love the MPC workflow. I like the sequencer. I think the sampler is easy to use, but I don't care for the sound in it. As far as like to me, there's a lack of just the characteristics I'm looking for in sound doesn't exist with MPC. Now, if I sample in and I do some tweaking and I do a whole bunch of stuff, sure. But the SP always had a good sound to me for most part on things I heard through it. That was just that's just taste. That's just preference. Oh, and this one does the USB-C Type C audio and MIDI. So it does the audio and MIDI through that, which is kind of cool. So I'm not going to be able to be on here much longer. I got to get back to work. But you have the MIDI in and out. You have the USB right here. There's that graphical editor that you can use to edit the samples that you have on here. So you could put your samples on here, load samples, and then go into the editor and edit. That's pretty cool. The granular, I told you guys about that. They do have a vinyl sim on here, DJ effects looper, the stopper, the lo-fi, the scatter, the phaser, resonator, and of course reverb and delay are dedicated to it. You can mangle sounds on here. This thing is super portable, obviously. They both are if you go with the Move or this. For me, the Roland stuff, I just like it better. Now, I do think if it was a choice of, am I going to go with like a SP or a Push 3, they're totally different in price. One's 4 times the amount. I would still want the Push 3 only because of the workflow. The Push 3 would be like, workflow is like just what I'm used to in Ableton. However, the MPC is still better for a sampler if you really want sampling. I think the MPC, the chopping on here is fun. I don't know, because Ableton chopping and warping is really good. It's hard to beat it. I could do everything in just a computer and be fine. I don't really need the hardware for it. But let's just say I'm taking those out of the equation. If I had to go with this one or the Move right now, based on what I know, I would always pick the P6. So price is number one, matters to me. 220 versus 450, huge difference in price. I could buy two of these for the price of the other one. And you can link these together. See how they have a sync in and out? You can sync them and have multiple of them together if you wanted to do that. Like one could be running your drum and maybe bass, and the other one could be running like all your different samples. If the editor was on the iPad, that would be sick. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah, you could get dinner, gas money, and a P6. I agree. Yeah, you could do a lot more with it. And I think you're going to enjoy the sound of it more. The move is not going to be about your sound. It's going to be more of a, you put a sample in that already sounds like something, and then you just sequence it in there, and that's what it is. It's, to me, it's a better, it really should be advertised more as a sequencer than a standalone device. And it's not that you can't use it for that, but it's not, that's not what its number one thing is. So yeah. Oh, and oh, it's free. It tells you right here, edit samples and import sounds with the free P6 sample to software, Mac OS or Windows. So it only works on Mac or Windows. Those are your options. And here's a comparison. I don't think any of this stuff compares to it, but I guess they're comparing because the price. This is like, this is just a controller. This is a controller. This is a controller. And this right here, Behringer channel, this one is a synthesizer. I wouldn't mess with Behringer percussion synthesizer. I don't think it's a sampler. It's just a synthesizer. Anyway, this is a sampler. So there you go. That's pretty much it. I got to get back to work, to be honest with you. But I just wanted to go over or just open up the forum for people to talk a little bit. Ali, yeah, man. The somebody called me. So unfortunately, when it happens, if I don't have my thing on focus, then I can't do anything about it. But I got to get off anyway right now. We'll do these conversations again. Ali, looking forward to more videos with you using the P6 because I think I'm leaning towards the P6 personally. So anyway, everybody, hope you're doing well wherever you're at in the world. And you guys have a great one, and I'm out.